Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today, I have the pleasure to chat with American country singer-songwriter Cort Carpenter. In this news episode, Cort shares the story behind his newest album, All In, creation of debut record, Those Nights These Days, life as a new father, admiration for George Strait, what life has taught him recently, whether or not he's proud of what he's accomplished so far, the biggest struggle in his career, and more. Now, with that being said, hope you enjoy my conversation with Cort. Hello, Cort.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We were just talking about Nashville and what's going on there. Talk to me about, I guess, the life in Nashville and what it's like living there.
It's an incredible city. I moved here about 10 and a half, almost 11 years ago, and it's changed tremendously from then till now. You know, it was a smaller town now. Now you go downtown and there's 50 tower cranes working on buildings throughout the city and downtown. So it's definitely a big change, but it's a incredible city.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, happy belated Father's Day to you.
Thank you.
It's got to be, I guess, fulfilling to know that, like, obviously you have a kid, and being a new father is also a challenging thing. And I guess the important question is, how are you holding up, and are you getting enough rest, and how are you sort of managing the whole day-to-day schedule now?
For sure, and that's a great question. It's definitely never getting enough rest. I'll say that, but we're trying. My wife and I are a pretty great team when it comes to who's on and who's not at the moment, and or when we're both on, which is great. But when I'm playing a lot of shows downtown Nashville or touring, it's crazy. I was telling my parents this the other day that you'll be able to see your kid when he wakes up, then he goes for a nap, midday, and then when he wakes up, there's only a little time period there where I have to leave to go downtown right now with my schedule or hit the road. So I'm not seeing him as much as I'd love to, but we are getting a lot of great time together.
Absolutely. Well, I guess it is challenging to be a father and to be also a musician at the same time. And um, the industry is such a cutthroat business, and we've heard so many stories about it from so many different musicians or anybody in any type of business field where I guess if you take a leave of absence from the industry because of some mental health break or whatever that you're dealing with, um, they just cut you off, and it's like you kind of lose your career because you have to sacrifice something more important than a career.
Exactly.
Does that ever come to your mind in certain moments in your life where you kind of have to realize that there's a lot of sacrificing that needs to be done in order to have this career that you have now?
Absolutely. I think about it daily, to be honest with you. I think about, what if I had a different career and I wasn't doing this and maybe I had just a 9 to 5 job or something like that. But though there are a lot of sacrifices as a musician because you have late hours or strange hours or not non-consistent hours, it's actually pretty cool to also have it this way because you're able to create your own schedule for the most part, and also be home during uh, I would say see your kid and see your family a lot more than you would if you're 9 to 5 job and then you come home and the baby's going to sleep 2 hours later. I'm here with him and my wife throughout the day. She works from home as well, and so we it's kind of a it's it to answer your question, it's kind of tough sometimes, but when you really look back, you're like, ooh, this is actually great because you're getting more time in the long run.
Absolutely. Well, tell me about, I guess, growing up for your childhood. You are from Washington State. Tell me about life growing up and how that was like for you.
I grew up in a small town of Kelso, Washington. It's a little river town right off of I-5, Interstate 5. Um, and I grew up in the best family ever. My parents were teachers and coaches, and my brother was 6 years older than I am, or he is 6 years older than I am. And so our dynamic as a family, my parents were really glued into the school as coaches and teachers, and they ran every club you could think of. So we grew up living at the school. After we get done with elementary school or middle school, we would head over to the high school and they'd be finishing up their stuff. So we had a really tight family. A lot of times at the school or going to sporting events. I grew up, and my brother did, playing three sports. So baseball, basketball, football. We excelled in those. And back home, that's what I used to be known for is being a great athlete, and that's what I'm proud of that. But just growing up in that system is something really special because it was just really neat to, be around activities and games and whatever else it was. It was really cool. So that's kind of how I grew up, and wouldn't change it for the world.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, honestly, there's so much things that have been going on for you lately, and as we said before we started recording, you have a new album out, which we'll talk about shortly. But I want to talk about your album, those nights, these days. Um, I guess that's your debut album, correct?
Yeah, that was the first one I recorded when I got out to Nashville. I think that was 2012 or 13, probably 13. But
Yeah.
that's when I got here. I got with a company at that time who was like, "Hey, let's put together a little album for you," and it turned out fine. But if you're a fan of mine or listen to my music, you'll see that that was a great first album. But so much has changed over 10 years. My voice has matured. I sing better now and all that stuff. So it's always fun though, no matter who the artist is, to go back and hear their early day stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, who are some of your musical idols in terms of country music or anything in music? Who would those people be for you?
So I grew up on 60s music. My parents always were listening to 60s and like, the Beatles and all that good stuff. But so I love that generation. However, for country music, I've always loved George Strait since I first heard him. That was one of the first albums I heard because when I grew up, I was listening to 60s or rap. That's kind of where I when I was a young boy and like, oh, rap, this is awesome and whatever. And our friends would have our raps, Jay-Z CDs and stuff like that. But once I heard country, I think George Strait was one of the first albums, and I fell in love instantly. And I think the emotion of the music just really grabbed me because I'm kind of an emotional guy. So
Well, do you have a favorite George Strait song that hits home for you?
yeah, I mean, I love a bunch of them, but I love Amarillo by Morning. But Troubadour is one of my favorite ones. Uh, but man, Give It Away is another great one. I sing a lot of those during our cover shows, and um, people say I do a nice George Strait rendition or do it justice. So I always love seeing George or singing George, and it's just man, he's the king, so you gotta love him.
I mean, the Cowboy Rides Away song is also a really good one.
Oh yeah.
Seeing his AT&T Stadium, his final show, he walks out on that stage, he opens with check yes or no. And then he ends the show with the Cowboy Rides Away, and how fitting for a legend to ride away into the sunset with a song like that, honoring his fans who've been longtime supporters. He's got a lot of great songs out, and obviously you've got a lot of great songs out yourself. I guess let's talk about your new album, All In. It's written by a whole lot of Nashville powerhouse songwriters: Gorley, Robbins, Myers, Mooney, Johnston, Sorstad, and etc. Can you talk to me more about the process behind making this album and how it came to be?
You bet. So I have been putting out a lot of singles in the last few years, and finally I said, man, I want to get an album out there, a full album. I've done 3 or 4 EPs, which is 7 songs or less, I guess. But we did a full length album, 10 songs, and I got with LT Studios here in Nashville. Those guys are amazing, young, hungry producers who really got it going on. I was lucky enough to get get songs from their group of people. They're connected with a lot of people, and like you mentioned, Gorley and Smyers and Mooney and Robbins and Sorstad, all those guys are Nashville, royalty when it comes to songwriters. So when they pitched me, that they probably found about 200 songs for me and said, "Hey, what do you think about any of these songs?" And these are the ones that I came up with and put the album together and thought it flowed the best. But it was I always say, because some artists will only record the songs that they write, and I've never been like that because I just have always felt like the best song wins. And you can look at guys like Tim McGraw or Blake or any of those guys, they don't just record the songs that they write. So best song wins, and we found 10 great songs, and man, it was I'm really proud of the album. I just wish the world could hear it, because getting out your music as an independent artist and just hoping for playlist spots and all that stuff is extremely tough. So whoever's listening out there, I hope you give it a listen for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, the track list for the album is Dangerous, Takes Its Time, Missing a Girl, Raise One Up, Fade. Get to the bottom of this. Somebody Tonight, Used to See That Girl, Music to My Ears. I mean, they're all great songs, but I guess Raise One Up is a really good one too on that album. How did that first come about in terms of the writing process and then obviously producing it and then coming out with it?
Yeah, so that song was actually one that I co-wrote. I co-wrote a few on it, and we remember writing it. I was actually writing it right here where I'm sitting with guys on a Skype write or Zoom write, excuse me. And it was we just wanted something that would salute the blue collar workers out there, and something that people could party to. And so far, or when we came up with Raise One Up, Raise One Up to salute them, we just found some catchy hooks, and the production guys, the producers, and the musicians really made it something really neat, kind of twangy but still modern, and something you would hear like on the Blake Shelton record, which I compare my music and my style a lot to Blake Shelton. Modern but still has those traditional country vibes in it as well. So when we came up with it, man, it's been a hit at live shows and people love it. So we're really proud of that one for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you said that this album, I feel, encapsulates my voice, sound, and vibe that best represents Cort Carpenter. So much thought, effort, love, and time has went into this album. I'm hopeful it's heard by the right people who'll take the chance on me and run with it. I went all in on this record. Um, I mean, I guess the why name it All In? Was that something that just came naturally, or was it something that you looked at different albums names and then you kind of took inspiration from different people's albums and you said, why don't I name it All In? What was the process behind that?
So originally I hadn't seen it by any other artist, and then I look back now and there are a few people with the name All In, which is it's kind of common, but it's for me it was like, man, this is 10 songs that shows who I am and my voice, who 10 strong songs, like who's gonna come give me that chance, which label's gonna say, hey, this is really good. And I'm not bragging about myself, but I'm also saying, hey, the whole process and the whole team that put this together was dynamite. So luckily we've been getting some radio play on some of the songs, and it's extremely difficult to get radio play as an independent artist. So man, we're still crossing our fingers that it can get in the right hands and go like that. But to answer your question, All In was just kind of like, this is me. I'm throwing it out there. Some people say, hey, was this your last album you're ever going to put? And this is it. No, but it's also like a frustrating artist saying, hey, bam, this is it. Like, what are you going to do with it? Kind of thing.
Absolutely. Well, I guess the important question is, I guess out of all the albums that you've created or records that you've released already, do you, I guess what's how do I phrase this? Do you feel satisfied yet with all the things that you've already accomplished in your career? Do you feel satisfied?
Oh yeah, I feel like, and this is another just like thing that I'm confident about is I've put out really strong music as an independent artist, on my own, and I play downtown Broadway in Nashville, and I have for a lot of years. Took a break, then back playing because I just love to sing and I love to perform. But if you look at the people putting out music right now, or the ones that are hitting it, most of these people have one song out. They put one viral song out, and bam, they're getting reeled in by the labels. And I have a whole, I think, over 50 songs now that I would say, hey, I can put a concert together right now and go play this, and people are going to party, people are going to dance, people are going to cry, people are going to celebrate. And that's just, I feel that my work is overlooked for whatever reason, I don't know, or just not heard by the right people. So uh, definitely proud of it, and I wouldn't change a thing. It's just like I said in the beginning, though, is my voice has matured over the years, and it's kind of cool to see the progression of that. But just for example, this weekend we're going home to play a hometown show, and our set list is, we have a 2 hour set, and 80% of those songs are my songs that people are, gearing up for because they love them. So, and because the hometown people are the ones that hear it the most, hear my songs the most on the local radio or whatever. I just wish people would follow in suit.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it does just seem like with talking to you right now, it just seems like you've got no backup plan. This seems like your only direction that you want to go in. And I guess that's another important discussion to have as well, because I think a lot of people say that um if you want to make it in the industry, you can't have a plan B.
Yeah,
Because the only thing that you're going to get into the industry is if this is what you only want. Um, and how bad do you want it? And
sure.
if you don't have a plan B, and you only have that plan A to make it in that business, then there's a shot. Now it's like time to put the work in, to make that happen. I guess the important question to you is, with all that's going on in your life right now, and all the touring and all the albums you're putting out, and obviously the hard work you're putting into your music, it just seems like you do not have a plan B. Is that something that you've always just strived for doing, and want to always be an artist and put out records for people to listen to?
So, well, originally, I thought I'd be um, in the sports category as a baseball player, and things fell through there. But once I hit the ground running with the being an artist in the music industry, I haven't had a plan B ever, except every once in a while it goes through your mind like, well, what would I even do? And I say that to my wife, like, if I'm not singing or performing, I don't know what I would do, except maybe start a business or something like that. But that's in the future. I don't ever want to have to do that. I just want to keep recording. I want to keep singing, performing, and it's definitely it it messes with your mind a little bit when you're going through hard times here in Nashville, or waiting around, because they say it's a 10-year town to get where you need. You see people off of The Voice or the American Idol or something, or TikTok, and they hit it, but that's super luck. But the people grinding it out, like myself and all the songwriters and other artists, it's a 10-year town usually, and I just hit the 10-year mark, so I'm not stressing about it or anything. I'm just like, okay, hey, my time's coming, and um, hoping to meet the right people that can pull the right strings.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, also that I found interesting is the way you define your music. You said, my entire catalog I feel is diverse, but stays true to who I am. It's neat to have such a large selection of tunes that my fans all say they have different favorites. That means I'm doing something right by appealing to everyone. Um, do you still feel that's still relevant with everything that's going on in your life now? In terms of, I guess, not only staying relevant, but also like having that, I guess, validation from your fans to know that at least you're in the right direction now. Um, Unlike other artists who may have some struggles in their careers, do you feel like you're headed that way?
Yeah, I think the music I've put out and like the quote you just read, I think it's off of my album or something there, but uh, throughout the years, I'm the type of artist that puts out music that I feel people can connect with, whether it's a party song, a beach song, a love song, a song about death, whatever it is. I want people to hear it and say, "Man, oh, that hit me hard." So, looking at my catalog, I feel that there is all of that. And now, since my new All In album is out and the previous few singles that I've released, it heads in a direction that I feel really, captures what I'm going for. And um, it's just the stylistic of the music. We're finding my groove where it's the sweet spot. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's more like I think we're right there, man.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you've had so much achievements. 2017 Josie Music Awards, Entertainer of the Year, also nominated for various Josie Awards from 2018 to 2022. You played main stage of Country Thunder, Rock the South, the Oregon Jamboree, um, and so many more. I mean, I guess the biggest question is, do you feel proud of what you've been able to accomplish up till now?
Yes, and I appreciate you asking that because I do feel proud. Uh, I've released so much music, quality music. As an independent artist, I've been able to get on many main stage festivals, which is almost unheard of, to be honest with you. We just had fan support, me sending email, connecting and trying to find loopholes to get in there, and just not giving up. Um, but yeah, man, it's definitely just I'm super proud of what I've accomplished, and I can if I look at any other artists that I know, at quote my level right now, I can look at them and say, hey, I've done a lot more than that guy or that girl, and I'm proud of it because I've done this, and again, it's not me bragging, it's just me working hard, and I come from a competitive um, bloodline in my family, and we just we like to outperform and try to keep stepping that ladder until we're satisfied.
Absolutely. But obviously, out of all the good things that can happen to one artist's career, obviously there's struggles along the way. And if there was one biggest struggle that you faced in your career, what would that be?
I feel that it's just not finding the I'm not in the right group of connections. So in Nashville or anywhere, if this works for business or music or whatever, but if you're not in the right clique, you're not the first choice. So that's what I've struggled with over the years is finding those people that can say, "Oh man, this where have you been? We've been looking for you." But it's how I tell people. It's kind of like a high school. You have the athletes, you have the band members, you have the cheerleaders, you have the student or the that A plus student, whatever the clique is. That's how it is in Nashville. There's groups, and so I feel I haven't got the right connections. And another thing is I feel that in a way that because I'm from Washington State and don't have a country accent per se, is maybe that has discluded me a little bit. I don't know, but I don't know. I just feel that there's definitely clicks that I've missed out on, and I'm still trying to get in them, but it's difficult.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I guess if there's I mean, being a new father, that's got to be something at the top of your list that you're proud of, and obviously, any future parent would want to be in your position, being a parent to a child or a newborn. I guess now that we're talking about this full circle moment now, if there was anything in your life that or today, I guess, up till now, is there anything in life that has taught you recently? What has life taught you up till now?
I think, well, to answer your question, is the forget the music. once I had my baby boy, everything was secondary, and it's the most joyous thing that I've ever experienced. And no matter the struggles I have in music, or the stress and the anxiety and the mental health issues or whatever it is, having coming home and seeing my boy, smile at me, or come give me a hug, and watching him grow, is there's nothing that can compare that, over any festival or song or whatever. It's a feeling like no other.
Absolutely. And if you take a moment in life and you kind of look back on um your younger self, and you had a chance to go back in time to talk to that younger self, what type of message would you send to that?
I would say, excuse me, I would say, try not to take everything personal, because I have a problem with that. I think everyone is, not everyone, but I feel like personally attacked sometimes when after the fact I look back and say, well, that was just business, or that was just this, or that was that. So I would tell myself to just not take everything so personal, or just take it in a different way and grow from that, because I think that's what has stifled me a little bit in certain situations throughout my years here in Nashville, whether it's a downtown club giving me a hard time or whatever. You know, so that's where I would go with that one.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, if there was any sort of advice that you would give to um independent artists or anyone who's trying to make it in the industry, what type of advice would you give to them?
So to be honest with you, I would say if you don't have a thick skin and you don't like to be told 99 no's before your one yes on something, even if it's something small, then this isn't the industry for you. There's so many people since the pandemic that have moved to Nashville. Like once the pandemic hit, everyone became a country singer, which now the city is just overflowing with people. And they're all great, whatever, but that's kind of something else people have to look at, is the pool of artists now. There's thousands and thousands and thousands doing the same thing as you are. So what I feel happy about is I've built my career, and over each year I've built things that many artists in town don't have not done or will never do. So for a new artist, it's just have a thick skin, and if you're going to go for it, more power to you. But don't give up, and give it all you got. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, thank you so much for chatting with me. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with American country singer-songwriter Cort Carpenter. You can connect with Cort on all social media platforms. I will link all of his socials in the descriptions below. Listen to his music on all music streaming platforms as well. And you can help support my show. Please feel free to share with family, friends, or on social media. You can find me on all podcast streaming platforms. I've been your host, Jigme Kelsang. Thanks for tuning into the show.